In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. Imagine that, a future that's super black. Long as your skin brown, your superpowers intact. What would your powers be? Just hope it ain't super whack. Spatial manipulation, create a portal that's black. Maybe just super speed, time travel to run it back. Or cheat manipulation to keep my spirit intact. As I encounter evils the world face, demons the world makes, I needed the world to stay. Rest in peace to Chadwick, they killed all the Black Panthers. Told us white lies, I still marvel at black answers. Suits in DC, pray it lead to a civil war. It ain't no Justice League, what's the need to be civil for? Propelled like the juggernaut, it's clear ain't no stopping this. The world in grave danger, who can stop the apocalypse? They killed all the heroes, the new ones don't really care. But if you need me, put your fist up in the air. Yeah, in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the special edition of a pre-recorded show, Blurred's Eye View. This is the spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way From Home. Candy B will be jumping in real shortly, but with us, we have a special guest, and I can't do this without introducing him the right way, so I'm going to play this little clip. Jason Richardson was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a comic book writer and artist, a radio and web show personality, a music festival and convention founder, Jason Richardson is a multi-award winner, including the coveted Philly Geek Awards, Geek of the Year, as well as a game developer. He's known to many as Spider-Man for his love and knowledge of the iconic character, as well as having a studio adorned in everything webhead, from rare toys, games, and comics to including a life-size Sam Raimi Spider-Man statue. Not only is he a Spidey superfan, but he has been blessed with the opportunities to do art for Sony's website for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, as well as be a host and guest speaker at conventions on all things Spidey, alongside legends such as Marvel editor Jim Scalabrup and Hall of Fame artist Todd McFarlane. He was even asked to sign the Spider-Man Hall of Fame poster that has signatures from hundreds of Spider-Man artists, writers, and industry folk associated with the web slinger. He is also an entry in the Encyclopedia of Black Comics, a book by Dr. Sheena Howard that showcases influential black folk in the comic book industry. His most recent endeavor is his new deck-building fighting card game, BT Heroes, that not only had a super successful Kickstarter, but was funded in a mind-blowing 30 minutes from launch that ended with a 2,000% profit. He's also the founder of J1 Studios, founder of J1 Con, J1 Studios Convention for Animation and Gaming, creator of Angel Savior, a graphic novel, creator of Super Bounty J1, a comic book, and has tribute books of J1 Studios fan art with over 200 pages from over 30 countries. Creator of the deck building fight card game BT Heroes, and has a 1-year-old son, Jonathan Parker Richardson, who actually has an Uncle Ben. Thank you for coming on to the show, Jason. This is really dope. For those who know me, they know I'm a big Black Panther fan, so it's safe to say that you're a big Spider-Man fan.
Just a little bit.
We go jump
Make
right
sure to wear my
into it.
Spidey watch. I was trying to figure out which one of my Spider-Man watches I wanted to wear today.
We go jump right into it. What was your emotional take back from this movie? Because damn, it's probably
Right. Like, listen, I know it was gonna be something I wanted. I knew it was gonna be something I liked because I was keeping tabs on everything involved with it. On our site, we were doing news and coverage of Spider-Man. Hey,
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead. As
it's
you
Candy
were.
B, everybody. It's naturally Candy B. But go ahead, Jason.
so and like because I have my connections and all that kind of cool stuff. You know, I don't want to. But I purposely tried to like go in with a blank slate because I would just wanted to know. I did do a theory video, and I had all these ideas of what could happen. And man, afterwards, it was kind of like I need to sit down with someone, and like we need to hold hands and just stare at each other. Don't even say nothing. Just hold hands and stare at each other and be like, yeah,
Was this good for you?
yo, right? Like
it was for me.
yo, because in a sense, I look at it as like the end game for Spider-Man fans.
Yeah. Yes. And it just,
And
a matter of fact, I think it's at 300 million now.
yeah.
It was
Last time I
260.
checked, it was like 230, 240.
Yeah, they projected it to be at 253, ended up being like 263, and then they just put in for Monday's numbers, it's 37.1, I think. It's insane.
And $20 of that came from me.
About $40 of it came from me.
Yo, I already got messages from people because anytime a Spider-Man movie comes out, I've watched. You're gonna be like, wow, you're a weirdo. I've watched every single Spider-Man movie every day for a month as it's in theaters.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't find that
By the third or fifth viewing, I knew it word for word. Like I knew every Spider-Man.
I'm not mad at that because you limited it for a month. Had you been like for a year, I'd be like, all right.
Once I got it at home, it'd just be on repeat sometimes. Like I wake up.
No, yeah, that's different. I don't feel like that's weird.
Okay.
No, I've watched Black Panther a total of 30 times. I don't find it weird at all.
Like judges of if that's weird or not. I don't feel like we're the best people because we're like that's normal, and then everyone else is like no.
Like okay, here's like I'm a big I love this stuff. I'm a big Spidey fan, obviously. Literally, here's Toby over here. Like you know, like just the emotions, man. I literally went through every emotion. Like I'm not gonna say the movie was perfect. There were certain things here and there that I may or I don't want to say disliked, or maybe it didn't vibe with me or whatever, or was unnecessary, or whatever it was. But it wasn't enough to ruin the movie. But that's every movie. You know what I mean? Right. I can find that stuff in Endgame, and it's stupid little things. You know what I mean? But overall, I went through. I laughed. I cried. I knew I was gonna cry. I knew I was gonna cry because when it came to Spider-Man, I bawled when I saw the first Spider-Man movie. I cried just at the opening credits because I didn't know I would live long enough to see Spider-Man on the big screen. So, like, you know, I didn't know that day would ever come because of all the legalities when they sold the rights to Sony to save Marvel and all this other
production
stuff.
hell that is stuff.
Cameron had his idea, but then it didn't happen. It was just so much. So when I finally sat in theaters and the music and Danny Elfman music started playing, I was just like, "This is real." Cried. When this one came out, I was I was jittery because I was like, if they really give me I had notes on things I wanted to see in this movie happen.
Yeah.
I was like, if they give me these things, I'm going to ugly cry. So I ugly cried like so many times. Like I was just like, man, why they gonna do that to me? Like, you know, like
Right.
I'm up there clapping like a school kid. I'm like, yay!
I will say I had a really good audience, and not that the audience makes a difference in how I feel about the movie, but it makes a difference in my all experience watching the movie. And we were with a really good audience, not too big, not too small. We all kind of clapped and laughed at the same moment, which I like because it's like we all get it.
It's an experience.
Everyone gets it. Yeah, a good crowd. And listen, a good crowd is very important.
It is.
I do a lot of like press events. So I see a lot of movies before they come out, but it'll be just literally like 20 of us sometimes because it's just press only.
Yeah.
Or press and industry only. Or sometimes we get to see ones where it's like ticket giveaways for pre-screenings and all that stuff where you can actually get a whole crowd in there. You can feel the difference being with a regular crowd. For example, watching Endgame. Like I saw Endgame early, but it was like press only, and there was us in there cheering and stuff like that. But again, it was a small number of us. But going into it with like the crowds on like opening day and like sitting there, and the fact that like even in the Spider-Man movie, I literally heard people in the audience like ugly crying.
Well,
and that made me cry even harder.
Yeah. I mean, like the characters mean something to us before they even hit the big screen. And Chris has known, like for months, I have said, I feel a way about Charlie Cox, baby. And I love the Daredevil series so much. I was like, I'm not watching season 3 unless they figure out what the fuck they're doing with the character. I couldn't do it. I almost cried like this close to when they said it was, look at him, when they said it was canceled. So then when I saw him, even though I wish the internet wasn't how the internet is, so I could have seen this movie in a blank slate, because I think it would have blew my mind even more to be like, holy shit. But I wasn't surprised by anything as far as who showed up. I was probably more surprised at what they said or did. And I'm here for the fan service. There are people writing articles where they're like, well, I didn't like this or that. I was like, I was living for every fan service moment. Them posing together, their webs intertwining as they went around the staff.
All right, but I know you freaked out. Candy, I know you freaked out during that meeting. And all of a sudden that brick came through the wall. It was like, whew.
Yeah,
I know you screamed. I know you was like,
I was
like, yo, see, I knew it.
Because I was more like a son of a bitch. It was a son of a bitch moment. It was a son of a bitch moment for me. And now when it happened, I'm like, son of a bitch.
And then Tom Holland just played so well after, and I'm like, how'd you do that, sir? Like, because he's that nigga. That's how he did it. That's how he did it.
And it was funny because like I like name drop. One of my good friends, Peter Shinkota, is in the Daredevil series.
Nice.
He's Nobu, the Red Ninja.
Good friend. Okay,
like, and, yeah, we have a bunch of videos and stuff we've done and all that cool stuff. When he's over around the East Coast, he'll hit me up and we're like, yo, let's go party. Like, and it's really cool seeing that the universe is starting to blend into places. And I'm just like, I'm hoping they hit him up because he was a cool character. Like,
yes,
even with the scar on his face, like I want him to, like, I need him to come back, especially after the end of that season. It was the last season.
Well, now that I know they got my boo together, I'm definitely going to be watching season 3. I'm even more excited now to watch it than what I was at the time. But I held out because season 3 ended years ago. I held out. Yes. I was so serious, as if like Marvel and anybody even cared. But I was just like, no, damn it! Like I am adamant about this.
She was a full on J. Jonah Jameson moment. Like, I won't watch it until you fix what's going on right now.
And can we talk about his performance for a minute? Because what an asshole, but just great. I love how they basically were like, we need to update you, boo, because nowadays people got their own YouTube shows and it was the subtle set design changes and everything that really had me like, this is what he would be like now, for real, for real. This is what it would be.
But that's how they do that even in the Spider-Man games made by Insomniac, the ones that's on like PlayStation 4 and 5.
I love it.
He does. He has a podcast.
Podcast, baby.
They're doing it now in the books. They're even doing it now in the comics.
Yeah. And I literally listened to the podcast. I've listened to all, because like throughout the game, literally it's hours of J. Jonah podcast. And I will play it because you can actually play it from like your like phones and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like in the game, like in game, you could like play it from your, and I'll web around and just listen to the podcast and just sit there and just jam out.
He's just too good. He's too good. These performances were really
and like
it was, and just watching so much of that unfold and seeing, like, perfect example when Pete decides to give everyone the second chance, and everybody's sitting back.
I was about to say, which Peter?
Peter one.
Did you like that they did the meme?
I did.
Yes.
I was like, aha! Like
I was here for every fan service moment. It was never like, oh, too cheesy for me. I was like, no. What I wasn't expecting either were the villains to give like some signature lines. So when Osborn
I'm sort of a science whiz.
Yeah, I was like, we all started clapping. We're like, yes. Like
I was sitting there like this, trying to be cool. Like,
when Doc Ock says, when he's kind of gets his mind back, and Doc Ock says, Peter, my boy, how have you been? And Toby responds, I'm trying to do better, sir. And I'm just like, yo, really, they really were feeding it to us.
See, no, what got me with Doc Ock is his other line. He was like, the power of the sun in the palm of your hand. I was like, I'm sitting there just punching the air like
he's looking at Stark. He's looking at the arc reactor like, all of that that I did right here. And when Electro's, when they're all inside the wizard's dungeon, so to speak, and they look at Electro, he was like, yeah, Matt, the last time I seen you had a comb over. And what did you do? Get a makeover?
I laughed at that. I was like,
you should. The writers did a good job acknowledging, as much as like some hardcore fans don't want to admit it, some stuff and a lot of comic books are fucking ridiculous. So even them being like, hey, gotta watch where you fall, because it's that silly. It's that silly. Everybody's falling into a vat of something and becoming a supervillain. It's that silly. So I was happy that they at least gave a nod to, hey,
fell into a vat. What do you say? Fell into a vat that electric eels. Yeah, that'll do it. And you're going right past it.
As they should have. Although I felt like I really didn't, and he probably did, but I really didn't feel like Jamie Foxx had any real lines. I feel like they were like, look, you do what you want. Because
you're Jamie Foxx.
Natural ad-libbed. It was just like, why? Jamie is a fool. He is a whole fool, and I enjoyed his performance very much so. It wasn't, of course, like the top of the villains for me, but everybody held their own.
See, that's what I was, that's when everybody's been asking me nonstop. Well, first they all asked me, did you see it yet? Did you see it yet? I'm like, yes, of course I saw it. I just didn't post anything about it yet. But and that's where I probably made the mistake. Like, but everybody, they're like, what'd you think? What'd you think? One, I loved the performances. Everyone brought their A game. Yep. Like no one phoned it in. No one like just was like, I'm here for the paycheck. I know y'all need my face. Here I am, villain, boo. They all came in and hammed it up comic book style. Like, they were like, we're going to give you the same energy we had from when you saw us last.
It was great.
Right. And this was the beauty of it. The beauty of it, like with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. When you see him and he has the tattered hoodie, the tattered purple, I'm just like,
Yo, I screamed.
That's so much better.
I screamed. I screamed at
And like
I screamed out loud because when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, he's got the purple on!" Like I was just like, and like people next to me, they're comic book fans, but I didn't know them, and they were like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It's like the original suit." Like, and they're
it's
like,
the purple, and
"Oh,"
it's tattered,
and they didn't
he
realize
had the
it.
suit underneath. Oh,
it was good, and I love that. However, they chose to write what he was going through was very much giving me like homeless man with Alzheimer's, and I love a villain that I can feel like you're human. They brought like humanity to him. It wasn't just kind of like money hungry, blah blah blah. You know, I felt that more when I saw his performance before. This one, I'm like, I feel bad for you, but I'm also like, you are beating Peter's ass. That fight choreography,
that Green Goblin is strong.
That fight choreography was sick. I was just like, oh my God. But I loved it because I have never really felt like Peter's been in danger. To me, I've just never felt like it in the newer movies because
I was
like,
gonna say this one.
The newer movies, I never felt that
he was in danger is when he fought Vulture for a little bit. There was
like I was like,
his exposure to it, he wasn't used to it. That like now his levels everything's been amped up. When when Aunt May gives him the speech about second chances, and I'm thinking to myself, May, you might not want to walk this. I get what you're saying, May, but maybe not this time. But then he goes ahead with it, and I'm like, this won't end good. This just won't.
And I
end
love
good
that
for
May
anybody.
did very much what a mom would do. Because when my son, I watched it with my son and my significant other, and of course that was like a heavy moment. And as messed up as it sounds, I always love when somebody of significant actually dies. Because I'm like, okay, now we have some stakes in here. And I'll always go back and refer to when I first saw The Dark Knight, because I'm like, yes, this was a death I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting y'all to do it like this. And now we were really going. Now it can feel like,
with Rachel Dawes.
I don't know what's going to happen versus plot armor.
Right. Yeah. And this one hit me a little differently because spoiler for the first Spider-Man game on PS4. I mean, it's been over like 2-3 years now.
About 3 years.
Yeah,
that was the first time you really got to see Aunt May die, and that shocked me. Like, I mean, you may have seen it here and there in like one-offs and comics and stuff like that. But like when you're playing the game, you're playing through this whole like hours and hours of story, and you're bonding with her throughout the game, and then at the end, just like bam, and I'm like,
and dead.
Oh, my heart. Like in that game, I cried. I was crying at the end of the game, like, Aunt May. And then so like seeing this, I was like, oh, you got me again, you dirty bastard.
They definitely got me. I was like,
they got because when I see
she got hit hard.
Yeah, she did. And when she got hit hard, I was just like, and she got up, and I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't like
that,
the 20.
First of all, she get up.
I thought she was going to stay down.
She gave a really good performance because her breathing had me concerned. I said, oh no, baby, she gonna die because ain't no way. Because I just literally, I could not keep my eyes off her, even though Peter was talking and the camera's showing other stuff. I'm still looking at her because I'm like, the way she is talking, this is more than shock. I'm like, something's gonna happen. I don't know what they're gonna reveal.
It was like the stumble did it. The stumble did it.
I was like, something's gonna happen because I was like, Goblin's too badass now not to take somebody out. So whether it had been her, Happy, somebody was going to die because there was no way. And I love that they do that with the villains because these villains really kill people. Oh, there's a ladybug. These villains really kill people. They are not like the cartoons where maybe you see somebody pushed off into the ocean and you don't see them again or whatever. Like, no, they're killing people that ain't coming back.
Especially if your name is Norman. Because
right. Flat out. So
I knew somebody was gonna die though. I knew.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, some stakes to it. When I saw the trailer, I was like, who's gonna die? And I started putting up a checklist. I was like, Aunt May, MJ, Ned, maybe. Then I was like, no, because I figured I thought Ned was gonna be the Hobgoblin in this movie.
until he gave his little speech. He was like, I promise I'm not going to turn into a supervillain and try to kill you. And it was such an awkward moment.
That was a blatant lie. It was a blatant lie. I was like, all right,
it
bro.
was, it was such an awkward
That was
moment
funny as hell. Especially the looks in the background, like,
yo, right? I was like,
Everyone's
no,
like,
when they're all in the lab working, and Ned says, Peter, he was like, yes, they're all answering at the same time. They're like, no, Peter one. And like, Peter Parker, like, no, which one? By the computer. He just said, my Peter. I'm like, but then that probably wouldn't have went over well either. So
when they said Toby was dressed like a youth pastor, I
oh my, yo, that cracked me up because he was dressed like a youth pastor.
He was. I kept looking at the fit, and I was just like, oh, yeah.
Like, so
I had
you get your own suit, or you just going in dressed as a youth pastor?
Yeah, I had a prediction that each Spidey was going to represent a different point in Peter's like aged life.
Yeah,
like I was expecting, and they kind of gave it to me. You know, you got Tom Holland as teenager Peter. Andrew Garfield would be adult Peter, and then you had Tobey Maguire as like kind of like old man Peter or like middle-aged Peter.
Yeah.
So good, such a great.
And they gave that to me, and I was like,
that scene where they're all getting their asses handed to them, and they realize they're completely out of sync, and that whole thing,
that was it right there. They were like, you
that the meme scene, and then he's like, look, I hate to brag, but I will. And then he tells them, and they're like, Peter 1, Peter 2, I'm Peter 1, and they go through the whole thing. But when they jump off the scaffolding and they start swinging,
it was so great.
Yo, that was when they were locking webs to help swing
the
other one up.
Yes.
I was like,
was so hard. Like,
I'm like, this is possibly one of the best scenes out of the MCU / Sony / Disney, whatever the hell you want to call it. Hands down, has shown us that this can be done. You can do it.
The webs came in, and then the other web wrapped around that one and catapulted him up in the air. So that the third one came in and webbed off him, and just I was like,
they were so good. I even like before that,
they all had their poses.
The pose was great. I love before that the youngest of the Peters was trying to say, hey, we fucking suck at working as a team, but I was on a team, don't mean to brag. And they're like, good for you. What the fuck does that mean? Who are the Avengers?
Right. They're like, what's an Avenger?
Okay. Like, what does that mean to me? And Toby's performance the whole time, I just wanted to hug him. He just, I think, had probably the easiest job on set because I'm like, I think you got to check just to be yourself because you came in so wholesome and I loved it.
Like a youth pastor.
He was. He was like youth pastor vibes. And I knew by the time the internet got done with everything, I knew they were going to appear. I didn't know how, so I loved that I was still surprised when he was like, I just want to see Peter. And as he got closer to the portal, I loved that the audience collectively gasped and started clapping. And then we acted even more of a fool when he took his mask off. I was just like, sploosh. I was like, I cannot.
Okay, so my eyes
like, don't attack me with the bread. Don't attack me with the bread. It doesn't work against bread. That's what I'm saying.
I ain't gonna lie. When he took his mask off and came through the portal, my eyes got sweaty. I was just like,
it's Andrew. And I found a post. I found more than one post in my Facebook history because apparently every couple of years I was going on like an Andrew Garfield rant, like, y'all are playing him about Spider-Man, and he may have been an Peter Parker, but he was a great Spider-Man. Like I have
always say,
I have been going so hard for Andrew for years. So when I got to see him again, I just wanted to like hug the screen because I was like, I love you so much. Especially when they were having the banter, trying to figure out who 1, 2, and 3 was, and he was like, Peter 3, whatever. And like he's trying to talk to him, and he's like, say you're amazing, you're amazing. And I was like,
yeah, he was like, it's the self-talk thing.
When he kept saying that, I was like, one, that's dope because there's some people who didn't get it. Like the couple next to me, they were like, because I was clapping for that, and they were like,
I clapped too.
And they were
Especially
like,
when
why?
he
I was
said
like,
that, when he's
because one, his movies are called The Amazing Spider-Man. And it was like, also that is like a tie. That's like a tie in into a nod to his, because everyone used to give those movies so much flack. It was like a moment to give them shine. Like, no, don't let the haters hate. You know,
because they're all
this is for you, buddy.
That's what
all
made
great
that
films.
moment so beautiful for him to be like, "You don't suck. You're amazing." And I'm like, "You are. You did not ruin the franchise. I fucking loved you as Spider-Man, not so much the Peter Parker, but I loved you as Spider-Man.
Peter Parker, but he was a phenomenal Spider-Man.
Phenomenal, and he had some of the best web sling sequences. Period.
The animations and the movements they used for him, his posing, his
it was
fight
so good.
Dope. I just didn't like most of the surroundings of the movie itself, like some of the script of the movie and like how they handled certain things.
And I don't know who decided to like maybe coach him on the character, or maybe this could have been something himself, because he's like a real actor. He's in something right now.
He's also a really big Spider-Man fan.
Acting his ass off. So I think maybe like, at least for him at that time, he overthought the Peter Parker part, because I'm just like, just because you put on a hoodie and hunch over, you're not like awkward and nerdy and I don't.
I couldn't believe they played him like nerdy. He's more emo a little bit, like almost emo.
Yeah, I was just like, just put the costume on. But I literally tweeted, I was like, Andrew, redemption, full redemption.
Yeah, that was the redemption, but the redemption really came when MJ fell down that was falling.
Full redemption.
Oh my, okay.
And another she asks him if he's okay. Like he says, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." But then he starts tearing up, and she looks at him and says, "Are you okay?" And I'm in the audience like,
everybody was had water
literally in the audience crying, because when she was falling, everybody was like, "No, not MJ," and like I'm not the biggest fan of her character from this movie.
I love Zendaya though, but I'm like,
but I like how she was portrayed in this one. I like how she was portrayed in this one. But when she was falling, I was like, come on, man. Peter's going, no, don't let him lose her too. And then I saw when you see Andrew go for the dive and he catches her, and I'm like, oh, this is his redemption. He was able to save a Peter Parker's love.
Everybody like screamed. Everyone in the movie
he started crying. Man, the whole theater.
I didn't know if he was going to bust out and lose it, because he starts when he's like, it's literally building up when she looks at him and it's building up and you're just like, oh God.
And then for that moment to happen, maybe if we had to time it, maybe 15, 20 minutes after Spider-Man 1 is giving you a speech, like, you're not a piece of shit. Like, you got this. And for him to do it fearlessly, because some people freeze up, especially if it's like, I messed this up before. And that's such a relatable thing. I've messed this up before. I can't do it again. And for him to
literally like, he's like, not again, not again.
We already knew as soon as we saw Peter get knocked out of the way, we were all like, Andrew!
Yo. And it built up in me. It wasn't immediate. Like, the emotions didn't hit us immediately. We literally followed his pacing, because once he caught her, we understood why he got emotional. Like, we knew what was going through his head, because it was the same thing going through everybody's head.
Yeah.
In the theater. And then to see him actually break was I was like,
we may have to do like a fun little poll on Blurred's Eye View, Chris, or something, but I'm definitely gonna go hard for that was the best scene in the movie. To me, that was the best moment in the movie.
The redemption part.
I'm gonna put that in number, and there were a lot of great ass scenes.
There's a lot of great scenes. There was a great scene.
I'm going to put that at the top of my list of the best scene of the movie.
I think it was. You figure from Aunt May dying, and our new Peter not being able to save her, and then seeing Andrew save MJ, it was like the balance was there. The balance
and part of it though hit me with Aunt May going is because he's still not over Tony passing.
Yes.
That was rough.
He's just learning how to deal with that.
Right.
He's not even there yet. And then he's like,
right.
and
Because
when he's at the
Mysterio was stressing
gravesite,
him out, baby, while he was trying to grieve.
yeah,
Exactly.
And then when they're at the
go through the grieving process.
Couldn't even go through the grieving process. You was too busy getting your ass beat. You stressed out.
right.
Right.
It's like
Stressed
even when they're at May's gravesite and Happy shows up and Happy gives that speech, and you're just like, damn, Happy, you came with it too. So
Happy going through it too.
yeah, he was just
Happy
like, I
was in
lost
love
my
with her.
friend. Yeah,
Happy
And
I'm
they
in
got
love with- I
friends
lost
on
somebody
it.
I was in love. I'm still not getting over. I still haven't gotten over my best friend dying.
Right. Like his best friend passed. And then now his boo.
Basically.
Like-
and he handled that
like-
well too. You know, that was a funny scene where she's like, it's just not working. And he's just like,
Yeah.
I can make it
Like,
work.
are you
I can do
crying?
better.
No, I'm not crying.
What do you want me to do? Like,
What do you want me to do? I was just like,
He's like,
oh
that's
my
why it's
God.
called a
That's
flame,
so rough.
you know.
But Tom did a really good job because there was a subtle moment, like a wince he had when Happy asked him, how'd you know her? Like just as a reminder, oh yeah, like this is the reality now. And I think this was probably his best acting job in these series. I've seen him in other things and when he was younger too, because he's been acting forever.
For a long time.
But this was, I'm very excited for his character even more now because I'm like, this was a full circle mature moment. And I like that this movie was more so, because I'm not like a Spider-Man fan to like a T where I know everything about every storyline, but I've always liked the character. And what I liked about this movie is it wasn't about how big and badass the villains were. I really felt like it was about Peter's humanity. And I love that he had his brothers come in, like you said, at different timelines to basically be like, we've all lost something. You're not in this by yourself. And I don't know if it was Toby or Garfield that said like something to the effect like maybe us coming back wasn't for no reason. And of course we know that, but it hits home even more when you have something like Andrew saving MJ, because it's like
if he wasn't there,
you have to do that. If you didn't have it, like you wouldn't be able to do it. And for Peter to fight through all of that and not want to just give up on himself completely, although he had the moment, because we all know what it's like to feel like I completely fucked something up, and you felt like you were doing the right thing. And that brief moment where I said, I tap people in the movie theater, I'd be doing the most. I said, oh shit, he's going to take this from Doctor Strange. He's going to fight Doctor Strange for these people's human. I mean, come on. I want that on a pillow.
Got me too.
I want that on a pillow.
That hug. Oh, I was like, oh,
because it was literally his brothers. They were literally his brothers, and you got that feeling from them when they spoke.
And for him to make the mature decision to say, you know what, I'll be the only one that remembers this moment. Oh, what?
That again? See, you see, like Spider-Man gets me emotional. So like seeing all that stuff just messed me up. Like I cried when in Endgame. When Peter came back and Tony just hugged him, like a son that went to war kind of thing, and
because Tony felt responsible. He felt responsible for that. You know, he's like, we lost the kid. I lost the kid.
Tony is his real daddy. I don't care.
Right. He was like, I lost my son.
Yeah. And when he touches, I just love how his character, that's why I say, like, as much as I love Andrew playing him, Tom is the best of both worlds we're getting on Peter and Spider-Man. He is. Yeah. And he just has this earnest way of delivering lines, especially when he calls somebody sir. It just sends me every time because I'm like, Tony and Strange be tired of your shit, but they have a soft spot for you. Even while he's literally trying to hold together the fabric of reality, Doctor Strange's eyes are welling up with tears like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, Spider-Man is all heart. And we don't get that a lot from superheroes. I mean, we get heartfelt moments, but to have somebody who is just heart,
and
amazing.
And when he let him call him Steven last time, I was like,
I was like, okay, I need a minute.
Because he knew it. He was just like, this kid's he's done everything he could. He's walked through every emotion possible. It. He's allowed to call me Steven now.
And then
like,
in true Steven fashion, being like, it's still weird as fuck. Let's
Yeah.
not.
Like, still weird.
Still weird. I'm like, he's another character where I think is Benedict is goated in the sense of up there with RDJ and
Oh yeah.
Chris,
Oh, yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
just like, you played this so well. I don't know who else is going to do it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know who else.
like I don't. There's no one that can be Captain America. There's no one that could be Doctor Strange.
Nope.
There's no one
that could be Tony Stark right
No.
Like
Those are shoes I would never want to be recasted in because
I don't even know if anyone could play. No one can play Thor. Like those.
No, oh no.
They
No,
look,
after
it's a lot.
Ragnarok, I was on the edge at first, but after Ragnarok, I was like, oh, he is this in real life. And when you see interviews of these actors, Hemsworth and Evans specifically, I was like,
Oh,
ew,
geez.
you guys are really these people. Like Hemsworth is very much like I bodybuild, I run, I do this, and like he is a funny kind of dumb, jockish kind of sense of humor, and it works so well with Thor. And then Chris, he's amazing. He's talks about
literally Captain America outside.
He literally is the way he
Right.
volunteers, how he helps people.
He loves him some black women.
Okay.
Okay.
He's like
Richard
for
Wall
the
Evans.
culture. He's like for the culture.
For the
But especially
culture.
after seeing him, what was it at the Oscars and Regina King's walking up, and he was the first one to jumped up,
jump up and assist her up the steps. Like didn't even think twice. Like
There would have been in that moment, if I was Regina, I'd be like, look, I normally don't be with the white boys, but what's up?
Right.
What's up?
So there was so much that this movie gave. It just fucking nails every tone, every emotion. And then, when Strange is at this point, we don't know who fucked up the multiverse. We really don't care at this point.
Everybody did. Everybody did.
Loki did it. Wanda did it. Strange did it. Everybody had
Loki, from Loki messing with Kang to
Wanda doing her business.
Wanda doing her thing.
I ain't gonna lie. As soon as I found out that other people did some spells, I'd be like, "Yeah, that's crazy." I would not. That's wild. Nobody would know. I had a whole town under a spell for a year. I wouldn't say shit.
especially when they show that little trailer for Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and he shows up, and first thing she says was like, "I'm sorry about." He was like, "I'm not here about Westview." I'm just like, yeah, because you probably did.
Strange did it right. Like, oh, I'm sorry.
He knew about that. He knew about that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you did that to Westview as well. But listen, we got
a whole other situation right now. We need to I need your help.
Although, like, people were talking, because I had like several different conversations. I watch it on a Thursday, so I was like itching to talk about it. So, someone threw out the theory, since we saw a bit of the Spidey villains kind of coming through the portals. We saw some clearer than others. So they were like, all right, so are they gonna like have that be a part of the Sinister Six and throw that in? Or are we going to get who we just had? And I was just like, I would probably like it more. Not that I have a problem seeing the same villains, because when you're good, you're good. And at this point, they are seasoned. They are good. They can play these characters in their sleep, especially Doc Ock. He is him for the rest of his life. I don't care.
Forever Doc Ock. I can't imagine anyone else playing Doc
I don't know, because it's just, and you could tell he has fun with it. Like some of the lines he was delivering, like who the hell are
have you seen the clips of the behind the scenes clips from Spider-Man 2? Like he's literally.
Oh yeah, he was
loving. Yeah, we're posting some of those. Yeah, he's just. He just enjoys it. And I love people that decide to be in a fantasy world that a long time ago, well, I won't say that long, maybe 20, 25 years ago, it would have been like career suicide to be like, well, I'm going to play Blade. I'm going to play Spider-Man. They would have been like, honey, no, that's not what gets Oscars. That's not what's going to get you the bag. And now we have Oscar-winning people playing
fighting to get roles for the MCU.
Fighting for roles. Fighting for these roles.
Fighting for these roles.
It's John Krasinski and his wife, Emily Blunt, are fan favorites to play Reed and Stone.
Reed Richardson.
But now his wife, Emily Blunt, was like, oh, she'll never do superhero movies. John Krasinski's all in. He's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Put me in, coach.
But
he would be good.
But if you watch a lot of her interviews, she's starting to lighten up.
Wasn't he?
Fact.
Was he ever in the running for Captain America?
Yeah,
No,
I think
yeah,
he
I heard.
was.
I
He
thought I heard
auditioned.
rumor.
He somebody else auditioned. I think it was
him and
it was
was it
Hiddleston. Hiddleston had
Hiddleston
auditioned for
went
a
up for
different
Thor.
role,
I did
and
hear
they
that.
gave him Loki.
Hiddleston auditioned for Thor. Krasinski and that's who it was. Not Jared Padalecki, but Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles.
Oh, okay.
Dean that played Dean
Wow.
Winchester.
He would have been a good.
Oh.
He'd have been a good
Yeah.
Cap.
I would have.
So-
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see him being a decent Cap.
I
Yeah.
could see that.
Now, no, but like
No.
But if
I
they
see him
found
more
a
as
way,
Red Hood right now. So
I would say now, if they found a way to throw him in that, or if they found a way to somehow, some way throw him in the Guardians of the Galaxy, I would not be mad. Wouldn't be mad. I don't know who. But chemistry-wise,
I don't know what character he would play now, but he would do a great job as the Cap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
look, they're talking to, like, Keanu Reeves has been talking to Kevin Feige lately. I don't know what the fuck's getting ready to happen, but he's been talking to Kevin Feige lately. And if it's got something to do with Keanu Reeves, it's got to be something major. He's not playing.
Ooh, something I wanted to say, because like 10 minutes, I gotta go. I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning of the movie, I was slightly worried because of pacing. And again, that is so small. It does not mean that I don't feel like this is one of the best Marvel movies I've ever seen. But the pacing in the beginning was choppy and weird for me. I was like, all right, maybe I felt like it went on too long, but I'm like, we get it. His life is crazy. Everyone knows who he is. Next scene. Like, let's just push past this and keep it going. I didn't feel like anything else went on too long. If anything, I was just happy to have more because I felt like after a while, I had like 2 or 3 movies in one, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are 2 scenes. There are 2 scenes that really made me giggle. And if you know, one of the scenes was when Strange throws the cape at Pete and it wraps around. And the first thing I thought of was what if. I was like, I thought about what if zombies episode.
I was like, oh, Peter got the cape on.
Yeah.
But then it was going. I was like, all right.
Before that, the first thing I thought of was the cosplays. Because I can't wait to see the simple cosplay of that or the tape with the phone. Genius. What?
That one, and then when Ned falls, and the cape saves his ass.
There it is.
And
he's that was funny when the cape was on Ned, especially just even the subtle nod to his culture and having his mom speak native tongue for as long as she did. I love that for representation purposes. And I love that he was like, hey, my mom and ancestors, we talked about like, maybe we're magic. And I was just like, we do hear that in other cultures, that aren't the clear ones. We get to like hear that. And it always brings me back to like Moana, one of my favorite Disney movies fucking ever. And I love that nod to his culture and him believing I'm useful and I'm magic too. And the fact that even on accident, he worked the shit out of them rings and them portals. And I like that they wrote his friends in, not just as, well, he's got to have some friends to put him in there. It made sense how they were used, and it was realistic for that world. I didn't feel like, why is MJ here? Why is that here? I didn't feel that way. They did a really good job using his friends. You could tell Peter it helped sell, not that Arm's not selling, but he needs a support team because he's a fucking kid. Like, he is a teenager. And now that we're all older, I don't know how old you are, but
I'm very old.
Okay, good. So none of us are in our 20s. We'll say that. So
I'm nowhere near that.
When you're nowhere those ages and you're like decrepit, it's like you look back at that time and it's like, what did I know at 18, 19 years old? Who the hell was I? What did I know?
Who was I at 24? I was an idiot at 24.
Who was I at 30? I'm still what? still trying to figure stuff out.
This is I believe Ned's definitely going to get, I mean, all of them are going to get something major because even when Stephen Strange looks at him, he's like, and you opened a portal, and he's like, I did, sir. He was like, and he walks
and
off.
then just walks off. His
And I'm just
face
like,
after
there
that,
is so much more going on right now.
everybody in the audience clapped for him, or like we had a really good audience. So everybody in the audience clapped for him after Dr. Strange just gave the because I just thought about it. Rock with me on this comparison. I know why I like Dr. Strange so much, especially when he's around kids and the way he teaches. He's fucking Professor Snape.
Okay.
He's Professor
I can
Snape.
see that.
Okay.
He's
like
gonna roast you. He's gonna dog you. But he's roasting and dogging your ass because it's like, I love you and you're gonna need this because they're playing hardball out there. So I don't do you any type of like justice playing games with you. Like he said, y'all figure it out. Figure this shit out.
He's like, y'all Scooby-Doo this shit. Scooby-Doo this shit.
I have to give the marketing team props for this design.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Because the way they marketed it, no one knew where it came from. And everyone was like, oh, it must be like a Doctor Strange suit, right? Because from the toys and all that stuff people saw, it looked more like magical and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
When come to find out, it's literally his red and gold suit just inside out.
It was hard.
Because of the paint. Getting all messed up on the other side, the green paint and green goo all over the other side.
He kept going back to that too because he just kept trying to get out, and the guy yelling like Mysterio forever.
See this?
So is it safe to say
this jacket? This jacket
this is reversible.
Is based off, look, it's a reversible.
Oh, that's hard.
So it's actually the actual suit underneath. It's a reversible jacket. So sometimes I could wear it inside. When I got this jacket, I was like, oh my gosh. And I saw the movie. I was like, people don't even realize how dope this jacket is. Like, this is a next level.
No, that's I thought about that. I'm like, I hope they got more money in the company because that was dope. Now, I didn't see the movie in IMAX, but I caught because I do like watching those long ass YouTube videos where they're like dissecting everything after I've seen it. And although you don't have to do this, Mr. J. Rich, it made me appreciate all of the other Spider-Man movies even more when I watched somebody do like the super breakdown about why they did what they did and everything else. And then me and my significant other went back and watched the movies before we watched this one. And I said, the Venom stuff and all the rest of the stuff we hated over the years aside, I'm like, this was really good. Like, you can pick out something from each separate franchise of who played them and be like, you know what? This was good, this was solid, I like this, or this was mid, but it's still all is making sense as they're pushing it forward. But anyway, since I didn't see the movie in IMAX, I didn't get to see his spider sense going off at the top of his head when Dr. Strange hit the shit out of him and knocked him out of his body. I realized this spider sense was the reason he could like TikTok on that hoe. And I was like, oh my God.
Because they hid his spider sense for a long time throughout the movies.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really play in the first movie. I don't think they even did really show off his spider sense like that in
Holland.
It seemed like, but I know you would know better than I because you rewatched it. But I think maybe they thought, you know what, we've been like killing this aspect of this character, so let's look at some other stuff. But I like that someone said when they watched it, you could see just little lines, almost like a lot of us did in the cartoon show, because a lot of people were introduced to them through the cartoon. But that was another moment where I yelled because I was like, Doctor Strange is in for it because Peter can really probably beat him, apparently with the power of math. But
right? And
figure that one out real quick.
I thought it was overall just a brilliant, like, this is a perfect example of how to take nostalgia, put it with good writing, to still give you a good story, and not be pay attention to nostalgia, paying for like a whole fan service. It's how you do. This is a perfect example of how to do fan service. We've always complained about how some movies are too heavy-handed with fan service. That's because they're not putting proper writing behind it. They're not going like, yes, this is fan service, but here is the story moving forward. This is a perfect example of how to do it right. And I hope other movies, as the time goes on, who want to use, reconstructions of other stories and nostalgia and callbacks and all that stuff, use that as a perfect example. I I not to neglect the Lizard. I thought they did a great job with the Lizard. You know, they did a great job. They didn't give everybody a huge spotlight, but the spotlights they gave people mattered.
They
Like
did.
Nobody was just back
throwaway.
Left off to the side. Yeah, they
No
were
one was
left off to the
Yeah.
side. Or
No one was
Even when
on
they
the
kept
side.
calling him a dinosaur, I was weak.
the
that was
dinosaur
funny.
talks, and like that scene was hilarious when Peter
That was
actually
funny.
they like in there he's talking to the lizard says he's like da, 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 and one I didn't even know you could talk, and he goes
Right.
And then he's
Well,
talking back to Electro, and he's just like, I could save us all. And he was like, by turning us all to lizards. He's like, yeah. They're like, no. we
No,
don't
no.
want that.
That was also something
I can
cool.
give you a makeover.
You saw the interactions between the villains.
Which was great.
You saw the actual, like, they had dialogue between each other. So it gave a sense of what a Sinister Six movie could be like.
Oh, Jesus.
Because this wasn't necessarily a Sinister Six movie. But it's giving you
But you could see, but you see where it could go. You see
and
exactly.
and one of the things that I liked was that portal. You saw Craven.
Rhino.
He was standing there with a spear
Yep.
and a fur around his neck. And when the world started coming apart, and then you saw Rhino, you saw classic Rhino with the suit.
You
And I was
did.
like,
Yep.
You saw
I said,
the big horn. I was like, hey! And then I think that was Scorpion behind him.
It was
With the tail, like full on classic Scorpion. I was like, yeah, I like.
We have a way. We have a way. Is it safe to say? Is it safe to say
with the
that with
Easter egg, I was here for it.
is it safe to say with all the leaks that Sony had for this film that perhaps we were being trolled?
Yeah. No. But here's the thing. I felt like that's how they have to handle it nowadays because they want to, because of how powerful the internet is.
Yeah.
Because of how crazy people in studios give leaks. I got in trouble one time with that with MGM. Not that I leaked anything. Well, technically I did. But it was because one of the editors.
It's a WandaVision type of thing. It was like I didn't really mess it up. It was Loki too, you know.
Right. It was like,
yeah, I'm not taking a full L for this.
Right. Like one day I'll tell that story. It's a great story. I might make a video out of it. Hopefully that's legal. But one of the things that I liked, I want to talk about the end and the end credits.
Okay.
The end, I appreciated so much that I just sat there in shock and in love. The end made me love. I mean, obviously, I love Spider-Man. My kid is named Jonathan Parker. He has an actual Uncle Ben. Like he really has an Uncle Ben.
Oh.
Yeah. So when he turns 16,
he's gonna be waiting. He's gonna be like, "Is this the day?"
Right. And every time he sees him, this hits my heart. Every time he sees him, he always tells him, "With great power comes great responsibility." So he does that with him every time
he's being seasoned to do it.
Yo. So Uncle Ben is now telling my little Parker this all the time, and it gets me right in the feelings. But what I loved and made me so happy is that the end of the movie, the world kind of rewrote itself to become classic Spider-Man because he doesn't have Tony's tech anymore. He doesn't have Tony's funding anymore because no one knows who he is.
Yeah,
he's now on his own and he's in his college years. He's got his apartment. You know what I mean? Which means he has to get a job.
Yeah.
Bugle.
We're getting
and he's gonna start taking pictures of himself. Plus, he's probably gonna start dating Betty Brant, who followed, if you pay attention to all three movies, she followed her career of being a journalist, and she's gonna be working.
She was so annoying. As soon as she came on the scene and was like,
right. Okay, where'd that mic come from? Like,
Right. Just out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere.
Imagine lots of birthday parties.
like, listen. So he's playing classic Parker, so he had to make his suit. If you notice, they showed a shot of a sewing machine.
They did.
So
I
he
like
sewed that. He made that suit. So all he's gonna have is a tech he had already made, and learned extra stuff from Tony and all that stuff. But his web shooters, he's just gonna have his web shooters. He's not gonna have too much of the crazy tech. Maybe here and there, maybe for the eyes, so he can always have that.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna have all the assistance and all the stuff that he had before, because he's not gonna be connected to Stark Industries.
Exactly.
So, and they made him wear the bright red and blue. There was the shiny, bright red and blue.
was
It was
shiny.
a great look. It actually was really good looking too.
And I was like, oh, they gave him classics. So I was like, but his suit is designed like the old school, like what we know as the classic Peter Parker Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, because that saturation was heavy on that suit. I was like,
yeah,
I know this. It fits.
Is it
right? and what I like is that he's probably gonna start seeing Betty Brant like he did in the classic, like original run of Spider-Man.
Right.
Then meet Gwen Stacy. And then his senior year, meet MJ.
Meets MJ again.
And then when I'm
he has his GED.
We'll both be older at that time.
Yeah, because it's gonna be different because he's getting his GED. That was the book on the top of his package when it was his GED book. So he's gonna work his way into MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Now, question, because you're into this. Tell me if I was tripping, because after Jamie said what he said to Andrew, like, I just thought she was gonna be black, which was hilarious. Everybody in the audience was like, Miles. So
Yes.
I mean, Miles exists. Here's the thing that I.
But at the end, though, when he did his web sling into the screen for a split second, it looked like that kind of digital pixel that I saw for Spider-Verse. So I was like, was that a nod to something, or am I like overthinking this?
I didn't notice. I didn't really pay attention to that. I was probably because my eyes are probably.
Yeah, I was like, you're probably trying to pick
they were a bit warm. They were a bit warm.
It was like sweaty and all
that water and stuff.
But in the MCU, Miles does exist, because in Homecoming, you had Donald Glover. Donald Glover was talking to Spider when he webbed him to the car. He was like, "Yo, I got this nephew, blah 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 blah," because he's the Prowler. Because if you go back, I believe it's the second, maybe it's in Far From Home, they see him again, or the end of Homecoming, he scans him. He finds him again, and they scan him on the ship.
Okay.
And it says, AKA the Prowler, because it has everybody's name, because it shows like the Scorpion, the Vulture, all that stuff, and it shows his name, AKA the Prowler. That he had a little nephew, right? Then with the Infinity War, Endgame, and the blip, 5 years has passed.
Mm-hmm.
What if he didn't disappear? So that means, just like the one Asian kid, the friend, I can't remember his name, who was in Far From Home. Remember, he got older?
Yeah.
So, okay, Miles is now probably...
If Peter's like 18...
right before high school, or a freshman in high school, as
exactly.
Peter's
that puts him about
15 in high school. So there's a chance that Miles is there. Well, it's not even a chance. Miles is there in the universe.
He's there.
Now.
I'd just be excited for that introduction, because I noticed that as soon as I looked at the end credits, and I was like, okay, I don't know how y'all are going to do this, but I know you're going to do it right, because I like how you brought in Toby and Andrew. It, at least for me, it was shocking.
Tied up a nice bow.
I think Peter would die in the next trilogy.
Which Peter? First Peter?
Like Tom Holland.
Yeah. Okay.
After his college years, he probably get married, all that stuff. We finally get MJ to say, I do all that stuff. Sinister Six show up, or Venom. Boom, boom, boom. Things go down.
Do you know how long they wanted him because I don't know, because I didn't like read up on anything, how long Tom is in contract.
They signed for
He
3 films.
has 3 more. Well, 3
more. 3 more, and that's it.
They were actually working on the 4th. They're working on the 4th.
I heard they're in talks with Andrew again too, and I was just like, "What?"
They're trying to petition him to because now that they showed that the multiverse exists, they can actually make continuing movies done directly by Sony using Andrew Garfield, because that's his universe.
I bet if they did too, like they would be surprised. I promise you, it would pull a Shang-Chi and just make way more money than what people thought. Because
it's gonna make it.
It's
gonna make a ton of money.
It's gonna make a ton of money.
I'm more than sure he's about to win an Oscar for his performance and playing like the writer that did the Broadway musical Red. I forget what the movie's called.
Yeah,
he's getting critical acclaim for that because he can actually really act. So.
It's like Click Click Boom or something.
Yeah, something like that. So I would be here for that all day long if they made that happen. All day long.
And whenever you see people disappear and it was yellow energy, that was usually tied to Loki timeline stuff and spells.
Okay.
But not Wanda spells.
Because Wanda's is like reddish.
Right. So it was cool that they showed that if you saw Venom Let There Be Carnage, the second one, the symbiotes know that the multiverse exists because they're interconnected throughout the multiverses, because they're that level of, sentient being. And when he disappeared,
a piece of him was behind.
A piece of the symbiote was left. So within that 3-film arc, that symbiote could make its way.
Venom.
It's gonna have to. They teased it too much.
And you know how they're gonna do it? They're gonna they showed it in Venom Let There Be Carnage, because Venom was able to jump from host to host.
About a year.
So that symbiote is gonna jump from host to host, and it still has that desire to meet that Tom Holland Peter.
Yeah.
So we know that's gonna happen. We already know. I thought the hooded glider goblin character, I thought that was gonna be Ned, because they already been working him out, and he had started posting pictures of him losing all this weight and all this other stuff and getting into shape. And I was like, oh, he probably gonna show up at the end as another. I thought he would be another goblin, but version, from another universe, and it would be Ned, and it would be hard for Peter to fight him because that's his best friend, and then that Ned would actually kill MJ. I thought that's where they were gonna go with it. I thought
before we get out of here, we have one more. I have one more theory.
Shumagaroth, man. That trailer, that second.
Yeah. So Strange's spell was stating that everyone on Earth would forget the Peter Parker Spider-Man, right? Who's off Earth? Nick is off
besides
Earth.
The Guardians.
The Guardians is off. Thor is off Earth.
Yep. Well, because you're gonna have the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I swear that needs to be the title. That needs to be the title.
Genius. How do you not? I don't even like to wear like t-shirts with movie names on it, but that's a t-shirt that I would want with the whole movie name.
Thor and the Asgardians of the Galaxy. And the ass part is like spray painted in or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think I see a Secret Wars coming. They already said they're doing a Secret Wars. I think this could be a very well back, because Nick would know who he is.
Right.
He's off world.
Nick would know. So would Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Because remember, they met and she was like, "Hey, Peter." Like they had,
and then and even Matt, if he has another run in with him again, Matt figured out who he was anyway. He didn't need anybody to tell him.
Too smart.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt. Oh, my computer's about to die.
So
I got 6 minutes. Sorry.
I see this. Future, because I want to do a video of like what this movie can lead to and all the theories and all the cool story things. This is a new
Oh, yeah.
concept, like not a new concept, but a new thing I'm doing where I talk about, random theories of like I watch a trailer and then I try and predict what would happen, or if I could write it, what would happen,
Right.
And this is opening up so many like ideas and just can of worms, because they left so many little things open so that they could do whatever they want.
Yeah,
They
they
literally
managed
can
to they
change when they
managed to
want
they
now.
managed to talk to the mouse, and the mouse said it can be done.
Yeah.
So we are heading out of here. This was our spoiler review episode. So yeah, this is pre-recorded. So this is gonna go up later on this week. Jason, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh wow, so many
So
things.
for you.
Yeah, keep an eye out for J1Con coming November 2022. Anime and gaming convention. I'm coming back. Hopefully, as long as another pandemic don't happen.
Right.
The other thing is follow J1 Studios. You can find it online at j1studios.com. The Instagram is official J1 Studios. And give a support to my game, my deck building fighting card game, VT Heroes. If you like, fighting games, and you like, tokusatsu stuff like Power Rangers and Ultraman, all that stuff, and I put it all together, and I literally made an arcade fighter into a card game, and you can watch matches of it with different YouTubers and streamers, all on the J1 Studios YouTube channel.
There you go. You can catch me damn near everywhere. Much like Jason, you can watch me on Chris Fury 1 on TikTok, Chris.Fury 1 on IG. You can also follow me on Blurred's Eye View on IG as well. But better yet, just go follow the link in the bio on IG and check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, the whole nine. And we had a blast, man. Jason, I want to thank you for coming on, man. This was
I finally got to talk about this movie, bro. Like this is the first time.
It is so hard.
I was just spilling
stuff
out. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I had no one to talk to about this movie.
Candy B, before she stepped out, she was like putting posts up because she went Thursday. I couldn't go Thursday. I was like, I'm going Saturday. Like getting tickets was a bitch. So I was like, I went Saturday morning. And I was like, okay, I've seen it. And then we were like texting back and forth. Like we were literally in group chat text, but the texts we were giving were so vague. Like we were in a group chat text with DC and everything.
So you can't talk about it because not everybody saw it.
Yeah. So like he had said something, and she said the power of the sun, and I just threw up the whole gif of Doc Ock saying the power of the sun is in my hand, and so and she just started busting out laughing. I know DC was like, "What the hell are they talking about?" But this was possibly the most anticipated film of the year,
hands down.
And sitting at 300 plus million just here. It hasn't even been a whole week.
No, it's only been a handful of days.
Yeah, just a handful of days, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad we got this. I am so glad we got this, and I will be getting several more views out of this. Sony, you trolled the shit out of us. Thank you very much for that one. Andrew Garfield coming back, Tobey Maguire coming back. That was a beautiful, touching moments, and they hit all the notes. They hit all the notes.
I'm gonna go. I know other people want me to come with them to go see it because they want to see my face. Like,
we need to see your reaction. Yeah,
you. So
I was burying myself in my coat.
It happens with a lot of Marvel movies. Like I went to see Endgame probably close to 10 times. Most of them, if not like out of 2, were the only ones I went just to go. Like somebody was like, "Hey, come with me. I want to go see the movie." I'm like, "All right." Like I ain't gonna say no to free.
Yeah, right.
I like free 99. Come on.
Right. Well, before we get out of here, I'm gonna close it out as I always do. So this is Chris Fury, along with my special guest Jason Richardson of J1 Studios and J1 Con. Check him out. As always, as I cap off to every show, and this was our spoiler episode, but you still get it. Remember to educate yourself and others, entertain yourself and others, and most of all, encourage yourself and others. And until next mission, we are out. See ya.